I think we're live. I got to double check here because I'm not here with Annie. So I'm going to say hi on there, and I'm going to hope everybody turns around and says good morning to me. So let me know if you guys can hear me and everything like that. I am without Annie. Can you believe it? I'm going to try my best to get through this without her. I hope my sound is coming through loud and clear. I'll adjust that. I got to find my coffee. Got it. Make myself comfortable and say hello. How you guys doing? I'm hoping that I'm live. Let me see. I do not see that anybody is saying hello yet. Let me double check that I am streaming because it says my live chat is up and it says I am live for 42 seconds and I'm going to take that as a go. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. We've called this, God's healing by the numbers. Restorative health. It's there's so many different ways. For those who do not know me, wow, I should introduce myself each week, but I don't because we just dive into it. Dr. Misak, Pittsburgh Alternative Health. A little bit eccentric at times, but basically just here to educate you to understand something from a different perspective and let you know that healing and restoration is in you. That's just something that is not always taught. We are taught the aspects of we're always looking for the cure, but we don't diagnose, treat, or cure, right? Because you have to be a medical doctor to do that according to our laws. But what we do is we support this miraculous body to restore because that's what God made it do. But you just got to find all these things that are preventing it from restoring. So that's where I try to bring out this basic model that is going to help you to understand how that happens. So good morning, Sue. Just came on. I'm glad. Good. So we're live, and I'm glad we're here. I'm glad you can hear me. I'm going to talk a little bit today about lemons and why lemons are so important. We mention them all the time. Lemons are such a vital importance in regards to our restorative health because of their complete anionic nature, And so when we talk about anions spinning clockwise and cations spinning counterclockwise and how energy moves, I'm not trying to do it to go over somebody's head, but I just want you to know how everything is interacting out there and creates this electromagnetic vibrational frequency. Wow, getting up there again, Doc. And then we turn around and how do we attune to your frequency? And get food on your frequency. And that's why we talked about distilled water last week, and how it jumps in and has no memory and dives into your electrical frequency, and we can kind of see, where how to hydrate and transport and get all these nutrients in there. So I might even dive back into that a little bit today. So Marcia, good morning, and Annie is not here. Annie, unfortunately, just a tragic scenario. She's at a funeral today for a friend of her father's that was brutally murdered, and it's just one of those off the wall things. And so pray for their family, and just that's just a horrible thing to have to consider and think about. Marty, good morning. Rowan, good morning. Go car go. Good morning. I love that. It brings me back to Go Dog Go, and I just used to read that to my kids all the time. Dr. Seuss book. Oh, can't do that anymore, can we, people? Ah, tell me about it. That wasn't one of the 6 books that they pulled, but anyway, I did appreciate the way Dr. Seuss is their company turned around and said, hey, if it's painting a negative image in any capacity, we don't want those out there anyway. So they're really good about it. So God tried to make me cry before the show. I guess God doesn't make you cry, but I bring this Bible app in, and 2 Corinthians 7:10, godly sorrow brings repentance that leads to salvation and leaves no regret, but worldly sorrow brings death. And godly sorrow, people, I'm telling you, what Annie's father, having a friend die is going through, and just the loss of a son and father and the things that I've gone through, if it wasn't for Christ, it's just, I can't imagine, and all of you guys, God brings comfort. He brings it to people. And thank you. I have received some incredible things. And it's just, I thank you all. So, so what are we going to do? Good morning, Denora. What are we going to do? AK Catherine. Wow. Go Cargo Catherine. I'll see if I remember that next week, right? So it's really funny because sometimes I just hit and remember things. It's not even funny because I was asking somebody to remember a phone number. I'm like, you can do this. It's always the same three. It's the same three as ours. Just remember these last four. But and then later on when we were talking about it, and they were like, hey, you expected me to remember that. I mean, you mean the 833-3022 number? Yeah. Why my brain sticks with that stuff, I don't know. I just can't explain it. But one thing, what I wanted to bring in, is just dive right back in. And I hope you guys are ready to dive in. Because last week we talked about distilled water, and Annie did this thing, and I think that I could turn around and say, let's bring up a distilled water picture. Oh, it covers me up. I like that. And so, and you look at that, and that distilled water is basically say, hey, because steam distilled water does not contain minerals or associated frequencies, has an ideal pH of 6.4, contains only isotopes, which can switch frequency to be cationic or anionic, and it serves as the it does serve as a perfect hydration medium by electromagnetically adapting the frequency of the body. And I love the statement by the American Medical Journal years ago. They said the body needs minerals, um, and you're supposed to get them through foods, not drinking water. It's not where we're supposed to be doing drinking water. So I summarize the aspects of distilled water because it has this high available energy that it can solubilize and break things down. It's going to transport minerals and electrolytes through the body and get them where they need to be. It's going to catalyze by making these energy reactions to take place. It's going to alkalize because it reduces or induces a negative ion release or response that causes these positive charges to be you know, uh, pushed out of the body. It energizes by the electrical zeta potential of the blood, and so it causes that negative energy, that negative ion response causes your blood cells to separate so they can carry oxygen better. And bottom line, it's going to hydrate, and so you have to have hydration, right? It has to be there. You got to be able to use that water that makes up 70 to 80% of our bodies and flush out the waste, not the coffee. But people, I'm still waiting. I hear Luke is sending me coffee from South Africa. Dang it, I'm looking forward to it. And yes, coffee is not always the best thing. Can cause a little bit, that caffeine can cause your sugars to crash, and I'm a sugar crasher. So the byproduct of sugar is alcohol and generates heat. We could talk about all that stuff. Or since Annie's not here, we could do a toast for Annie, but you're gonna have to see my face. And so we talked about this last week and having a toast. We actually had somebody out there say, hey, I want to join you. How about we consider doing that? I can turn around, and basically what I do is I mix up herbs that are adaptogenic and relaxing and like chill herbs. And so one of the things after we did that show, it was talked about. It's like, what if I offer you guys all do a shot with me? So we were looking at how we would do that. I'd make them into one little bottle. You pour the bottle into a shot glass, fill it up the rest of the way with water, and cheers. So if anybody's interested in that, you'd have to email my office, and that's the office at pittsburghalternativehealth.com. If you go through Pittsburgh Alternative Health, or if you go to Doc Misak, there's a link there for Pittsburgh Alternative Health, but that's our office email. We would more likely see that. But if people really want to join me and chill, hey, cheers. So crash my sugars, put in the alcohol extracts. Herbal alcohol extracts are by far the way to extract the highest amount of those constituents to have the strongest effect, is what you're doing. And if you join me, just make sure you watch my show for the hour because it's because you're getting a little bit of alcohol in there and because of the effects of the kava and the relaxing things, you should not operate machinery. You know how they put those stickers on pharmacy vials? I did it for years. Oh my God, sticking on those little accessory stickers. Every now and then we'd have particular ways just so we could put them on the bottle to make it fit, and we get creative in how we were doing it. Oh my phone is ringing, and you are not calling me right now. So anyway, cheers. Oh, I love that kava. But some of you are gonna be like, "Oh my God, what is that stuff?" Um, Kava has a slight numbing effect, and usually in about 3 minutes after drinking that, you feel this just chill out. So what did I put in there today? I think I put kava for relaxation. I put some adaptogenic herbs, rhodiola, holy basil or tulsi, eleuthero, which used to be Korean ginseng. Um, what else did I put in there today? A little bit of maca. Maca is, it's just a vitality kind of energy based herb. Squirt of peppermint, just because the peppermint it tones down the taste of all the other herbs. It just makes it taste like a peppermint schnapps is what it tastes like. But the kava just numbs your tongue, and to me, oh my God, I love it. So let me see what we have here. Good morning, Denara. Jackie, good morning. Marcia, got some numbers going already. 58, 53-year-old, 5'8", 263 pound, 1.86264, 7.2. I don't see the cell debris, 13/6. Those are some really good numbers. Those are some really good numbers. You're doing, whoever that is, Marcia, those are great numbers. That's the healing range. You're in the range that you want to be. Doc, what is the best way to help the body get rid of cell debris? Drinking watermelon seed tea. Watermelon seed tea, that was always suggested for, I believe, just flushing the kidneys, part of that. The other thing for increasing cell debris was golden seal, but you just got to watch for golden seal. You don't use it very long, and it will it can drop your pH. You got to watch your urine pH if you're on golden seal. Even though it does have immune supportive, it's antimicrobial. There's other benefits from an herbal standpoint. It's really ironic because like you know, Dr. Reams, for example, said ginseng. If you go to the alphabetical reference manual, you look up ginseng in there, and there's a statement, and it says ginseng is a mild uh, what did he say? It's a mild laxative, but it's not as good as what was he using? Um, I can't remember. But I remember it's like ginseng is a mild laxative, but it doesn't work as well as this. So if you're taking ginseng, you should also add aloe vera. Never have I used ginseng for a laxative effect. And I even had ginseng in that herbal that I just did. Excuse me. No, I'm not having to run to the bathroom on ginseng. Ginseng to me is energizing and does these other things. But Reams was identifying, these effects of these herbs on electromagnetic frequencies. And so golden seal, when I was in, medical school, was always mixed with echinacea. Echinacea, golden seal. But then golden seal is becoming a near extinct plant or a species of plants that needs to be protected at this point. So all the herbalists and everything say, hey, hold back on golden seal unless you really need it. Those berberines are great for urinary tract infections and all this other stuff. But when you look at RBTI and look at Reams, he said, oh, golden seal eliminates cellular waste. Let's kick out those dead cells, but watch it for being acidifying and don't use it for more than a month. So it's just a different perspective on how to do it. But Marcia, those are great numbers. I mean, in reality, that 6.2, you're right below the 6.3 to 6.6 A range. That's, that right there, you're at 13/6. You're right at the top end of the nitrates. You might use one more magnesium a day. and you might use one more drop or an extra 1,000 units of vitamin D a day, and those will, just keep you right where you need to be. But those are really good if your cell debris is down. You know, um, with those numbers right there, your nitrates are dropping out. Those are great. You're processing. You've got great energy. You've got energy going out the way that it needs to. Uh, you're borderline on need for a little bit more magnesium. Keep up the good work. That's exactly what we're trying to get you into. The other problem is, okay, so when we look at the aspects of 5'8", 263 pounds, so then we're looking at weight. We're going to say, okay, let's start looking at the application of, it doesn't look like thyroid numbers in there, but when you see the weight gain, you typically see that, okay, the thyroid's being sluggish. Ream said that thyroid hormone would have you make a substance that was like good old fashioned soap, and it's just going to break down fats. And so to help you eliminate and shed those pounds off, when I see that, I'm going to go back to calculating basal metabolic rate. I'm going to turn around and we got an equation for how to calculate. Just look it up, basal metabolic rate calculations. Google it, and there's this equation, and you do your height and um, um, your age and your weight, and they give you these variables that you multiply them out. You put them in one equation, and that tells you how many calories can I eat a day to stay exactly where I am. And if I want to drop weight, you drop 500 to 1,000 calories. If you're exercising, you can do a multiplication of like 1.1 to 1.3 multiplied times your metabolic rate to increase the number of calories because you're actually burning more. But again, you want to drop 500 to 1,000 under that to decide, hey, I want to lose some weight. And so then the idea is Reams taught that calories are heat forming units. Okay, everything, matter, energy is the same thing as matter, right? Which is heat and electricity. And as cells break apart, they release that electrical current. So everything in a chemical reaction is releasing electricity to hold it together, but it's all, you're talking heat. So the idea is as you consume less heat forming units, so you use your body protein, fat, carbohydrates to generate that heat and maintain it. So you're basically consuming calories. So how do you determine the number of calories? Based on your basal metabolic rate. And then you got to look at serving sizes because most people just don't know how to choose what a serving size anymore. You get these big 14-inch plates and you pile them up and you eat them till you're stuffed. And so, but I'm eating good foods, lots of vegetables, a little bit of rice or potatoes. So I'm not getting a high carbohydrate load. I'm not eating too much protein, but I'm eating protein with my meals and I'm getting good numbers, but I'm not losing weight because you might just be eating too much. So just you got to look at that and learn so in the handout when people do our get our testing kits and we send them all the information, that information is in there. That is food science information. Never been taught in RBTI. Never. You're not going to find anything about that in RBTI. But what I will tell you is that it works. You're applying RBTI principles with food combining or food, uh, you know, uh, food portions. Your macronutrients, counting your macros can really do wonders for you. It really can. So I do correlate, DE type with fast oxidizers, BC type with slow oxidizers, and you're right there as you're a mixed oxidizer with those numbers. So you can eat on both sides of the equation. Just watch what those foods do. Good job. Great. Thanks. You're welcome, Danara. I have tiny red spots on my whole body appearing every time. Does it mean that my liver is under stress, hormone level, vitamin D as well, but my thyroid antibody level has increased? So when you see red spots over the whole body, there is definitely a liver response. There's just something your body's reacting to. Some people look at that from an autoimmune condition because you can see histamine responses and histamine release. And so we go back to looking at hypoallergenic foods. We always look at what we're taking. I have had people take Algazim and get red spots, in reacting to the Algazim, to the seaweed component. But I'm starting to look into the use of iodine because there is some really good information out there in regards to iodine and everything from cancer to the aspects of where iodine gets displaced that we can turn around and it's displaced by bromine, and bromine can is heavier than iodine and can affect our thyroids, and so doing high doses of iodine for a period of 10 to 12 weeks or something to that effect, and then we turn around. But how do you displace the bromine? You're usually using something like magnesium chloride or something to that effect while you're doing it. You got to watch your numbers through it. So I'm not telling people to do it, but I am telling you that there is some connections to some really nasty disorders with iodine deficiency, and thyroid conditions like you have, Denara, is one of them. So that's something that I'm looking into right now, and as I read more and I really figure some things out and I can look at it and how it affects the numbers, I will move into that and talk about those type of things. So, but yeah, there's usually a liver-based thing. Sometimes you can get in an Epsom salt bath with some because of the magnesium. It's magnesium chloride, right? Get in an Epsom salt, 2 cups of Epsom salts, a cup of baking soda, and that alkaline Epsom salt bath will help to attract and help you to detoxify and help pull things through the skin a little bit better. And then if you are taking some source of iodine, that magnesium can theoretically help displace bromine. I need to read more. As I learn more, believe me, I'll tell you guys what I do know. What are the reasons of autoimmune diseases? The reasons of autoimmune diseases is your body has an imbalanced terrain, and I've talked about pleomorphism versus the germ theory. And so what happens is that imbalanced terrain gives the foundation for imbalanced microbes because you have 10 microbes for every cell of your body in it. And so those microbes become a little bit imbalanced. And I believe that your body's trying to take care of chronic low grade viral issues, or sometimes you'll see parasitic or even bacterial, Lyme disease. We've heard of those type of things. But that imbalance on that microbial level stems from imbalance elsewhere. I mentioned a little bit a few weeks ago about that holographic blood book and how those things play a role. So there's a lot going on. The body's all about balance. So Eastern medicine has it right, but Western medicine has perspectives that can affect it as well. But it's all energy. And how it's moving, getting stuck, and then creates an imbalanced terrain that allows overgrowth of things that aren't supposed to be there. I don't have a blood picture up. I could turn my microscope on if you guys prefer to look at that stuff. But we'll again, those are things that we need to talk and go into over time with this stuff. Hi, Luke. I'm glad you're here. I haven't got the coffee yet. Waiting for it. Talking about it though, and enjoying what I got in the meantime. So one of the things that we've been working on is with Annie. I just showed you the distilled water, but we brought up, and Annie has finally, and it's not Annie, it's me getting her the information, and then approving what she turns around and does, and saying, hey, what do we need to do? And the last ones we needed to do was distill water, lemons, and the phases, or not phases, but the um, for ranges and helping you to identify what range am I in and how to adjust your nutrient intake or your ratio of foods that swing your chemistry one way versus swing your chemistry the other based upon what range you're in. So Marcia, you're in the A range, nearly at 6.2. Heck, an extra 1,000 units of vitamin D, you'll be there. And so when you're in that A range, you can eat BC foods, DE foods, eat them all, but you'll start noticing, you pick out if you have a tendency to being in the DE range, you might notice in order to stay in the A range, you need to eat 60% of DE foods and only 40% of BC foods. But you want to get all of those different forms of calcium that are in each one. So BC foods have calciums that can lower your pH. They have the phosphates. They have BC foods have phosphates. BC foods have gypsum or calcium lactate. BC foods. Actually, I think the gluconate is actually because it's neutral, is in the BC range. And then the DE foods have calciums that raise your pH, oxides, carbonates, um, uh, what am I, citrates, um, you know, um, what's another one? Um, blanking people. Boom. But anyway, but you want to get each one of those. I do remember calcium orotate being a neutral calcium, and the only food source that we get is black olives. And every time you go to a retreat, you hear this story from Betty Reams how her dad forced her to eat black olives, and she hated them as a child, but now she loves them. And now you go back and like, oh, he had her eat 3 black olives a day because it was the only source of calcium orotate. Interesting. So the man was just a scientific genius on that level. Mule is coming over mid-March. All right. So we switched from a donkey to a mule. Wow, we got some horse genes going. I like it. That speeds it up a little bit. Let's see. Late but here rocks. Good. I like that. Good morning, rocks. So anyway, lemons. Let's talk about lemons a little bit, people. Let's bring up Annie's wonderful little picture here. I hope you guys can see that better than I can because that's so small. I have to get all the way up here to my computer to see, and I still, right there's about where I can see it good. But no, lemons are incredible. And I do want to pull up that and just kind of read through that a little bit. I'm going to pull it up on my phone where Annie has sent it to me in the past, simply because I want to go over that specifically on some of the attributes of what I pulled out. So here we go. Lemons and more. See more. And where is it, Annie? I know it's in here. There it is. Okay, lemons. Let me open that up. So when you're looking at lemons, what I did is I extracted information from all different sources. Daily manufacturing. Daily manufacturing. I don't know if it's on there anymore, but Daily Manufacturing did this paper years ago, distributed in a class by Dr. Kerry Reams, available from Daily Manufacturing Incorporated. So you can turn around and look and see that they have their Daily Manufacturing imprint on the back side of the screen right down there. It's all highlighted because I've read this thing so many times over the years. But it says, why use a lemon? And so this is one of the sources. Another source that I use is the alphabetical reference manual that Reams did. And then I've looked at other sources where people have talked about lemons over time. And pulled information that says, okay, this makes sense. And why? What do we want to know about lemons? And when we're talking about, I call it bioelectric chemistry. I don't call it RBTI. And believe me, Dr. Sandy Badeau said, bioelectric chemistry is not RBTI. RBTI is RBTI. They were legalists. It is Reams' biological theory of ionization. Bottom line. It is. Dr. Kerry Reams created a theory of biological, you and I are all biology, ionization potential, saying that in a quantum world, we are electromagnetically made. Okay, and science will probably actually supports that mathematically. Can't deny it. However, when I'm trying to explain it to other people, particularly people in my profession, I call it bioelectric chemistry. Because to me, that's what it is. I'm a pharmacist. You think in chemical terms. So when you're looking here, you got to look. Anionic substances release energy from a reaction and stimulate the body to accept the energy through establishing a media. It's establishing a scenario where you have so many positive charges or negative charges and how they are moving against one another, creating resistance, which affects what variable in that equation? Speed, pH, okay? So you're looking at that, so it affects establishing a resistance media, a pH media, that the body can modify and put on the body's frequency because you have a specific frequency. So then you go down And the other part in the black says lemons work with calcium in the digestive juices provided by the liver to improve the ability to extract energy from the foods we eat. And lemons were reported by Reams to be the only anionic, 100% anionic food. I love that commercial. I think I should just go in and find that commercial and that little section that says Dawn takes grease out of your way. And you see that sink in one drop of soap, boom, it disperses. Cationic, counterclockwise spinning cations, acid forming, clumping together, food or grease in that commercial dispersed by one drop of an anionic surfactant. Boom! Break them apart, move them along, get it going. That's what lemons do in your body. So when I sum it up, I have at the bottom, or at the top, it says lemons are a must for restorative health. You just have to incorporate lemons. You're not going to get the resistance media that you need in order for your body to do what it needs to do without incorporating lemons to help you disperse and break down because of all the other things that we have in here that lemons do. And bottom line, I'm not telling you to do what Reams or Manthe or Badeau, or I could go over several of these other practitioners who have, Michael Olsta. I am not sitting here saying get into a lemon water and water drinking regimen where you have a clock and a timer going off every 30 minutes and you are drinking lemon water alternating with water all day long. Is that a good thing to do? Yeah. Long term, you don't have to. Reams even said that you shouldn't have to do a lemon water program for more than 6 to 7 months. Yet I've seen people who have done it for years and they're still dealing with a lot of the same issues. RBTI says to drink lemon water alternating with water all day long. And I used to sell a little baggie. It was actually made for wine bottles, but it held 2 bottles and it had a pouch in the front. So I could put a water bottle and a lemonade bottle. And I used to carry them around. Believe me, I did this. And I had a timer going. Lemon water, lemonade for me. I'm a sugar crasher. And that's how I discovered that coconut sugar and agave are wonderful for me. Whereas, you turn around and you look at, people like Joseph Mercola says, don't touch that agave. That fructose is horrible. It's going to convert into your body. And, I'm telling you from a standpoint of sugar regulation, agave, oh my God, works wonders for me. Honey, maple syrup, dang, if I want to go to sleep, put a little honey or maple syrup with some chamomile tea at night, bam, I'm out. Crash city, people. Boom. Sugar's crashed, my brain crashes. Cannot touch this stuff. So if I ever have, if we do make pancakes or waffles or something at home, and I'm putting maple syrup on it, I'm putting butter on there, and I am eating some source of protein, turkey, bacon, eggs, something, so I don't have that crash because it will follow. So I have to watch out for that. So at a minimum, what Reams taught us is that if you mix 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lemon, and it's got to be fresh squeezed because, we've even had people like Thomas Gano, wonderful guy. Thomas is like devoted, he knows RBTI from the theoretical standpoint as much or better than anybody and can explain it to you like Michael Olsta. If you want to understand this stuff on a college level and how cells are breaking apart, and when a cell becomes less than 100% ideal, there's a space and a gap that fills inside there where water fills in and you actually get it loses 100% energy, and that triggers a swelling reaction. Swelling, what's that? Inflammation. Wait a minute. Don't all these other natural people say that inflammation is the cause of all disease? Huh. Is it connected? Hell yeah. But Reams explained it on a quantum level. Cell loses energy, water comes in, fills in the voids, you get swelling. Now that cell's no longer an alpha cell. It's a delta cell. Less than 100% efficient. The body, from a godly standpoint, not into repair, can't fix it. You're trying to get out of here. So the body's going to process to eliminate it, and that's where we get healthy cell turnover and watching that cell debris. I keep trying to tie all this stuff together for you. But at a minimum, what Reams taught is that if you mix 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lemon to 9 ounces of distilled water, that is the right ratio to be the correct pH and the concentration that optimizes your cellular chemistry. Great! Now I know what the ratio is, and then why. Well, if you go over, up, it says lemons have an ideal pH of 6.4, which helps normalize the bile strength. Wait a minute, bile strength, saliva pH. Oh my God, I'm going to stimulate digestion and the liver bile. So it improves 6.4. You're trying to normalize the pH to optimal. Where water, isotopes, hydrogen and oxygen, which can go positive or negative and swing based upon the environment. So I'm trying to get that environment at the right place so that water can switch over to be what it needs to be as a medium of exchange in an environment that allows optimal aspect of nutrient exchange. This stuff all connects together, people. And there's a reason that we bring in lemons, and a reason we drink distilled water, and a reason why we eat foods that have specific forms of calcium based upon your chemistry that specifically is what you need. I want it to make sense, even though it sounds like this is so complicated. You're talking college level physics and quantum energy, and I want it to be practical, because the first person ever to bring the word practical to RBTI was Betty Reams. It was, she's like, I want practical RBTI. But even she, when I went to her retreats, she wasn't teaching practical RBTI. I'm like, Betty, this is what we're trying to do. This is where, wouldn't this make sense? And she's like, yeah, I want you to teach this. So we go over, and another thing I love is right above, lemons provide the basic amino acid structure needed for the liver and the pancreas to produce enzymes. So we go to Reams' words himself. Reams' theory of biological, ionization, the alphabetic reference manual, or ARM. Everybody should have this, because you can look up things and say, hey, why do I want to do this? And you go to lemon, and I have just a little bit highlighted, but one of them is Reams himself. The lemon juice, when it goes into the system, can be converted into some 6 billion different enzymes with less chemical change than any other natural substance known to man. You hear that? Give the body what it needs to make what it needs by creating the right scenario and the right pH. Go online and look up the lemon, and you're going to see everybody's got these cures by drinking lemon juice mixed in the morning, first thing in the morning, and all this other stuff. It's great. And Thomas Cano will tell you that lemons over time, it's better to do fresh squeeze with every meal. Because over time, what's that lemon juice, once it comes out of that lemon, what's it interacting with? Air, the world around it. So what's happening? Exchange of ionization. Everything's electrical, electromagnetic. So over a period of time, that lemon theoretically is going to lose that anionic energy. It's going to diffuse. So it's supposed to be fresh squeezed because it comes right out and it's ready to go. So another thing. So we talked about bile strength. That number one, the liver supports the liver, the pancreas, and the cells to flush toxins and waste. And at the bottom, helps flush urates. Wait a minute, which ones are urates? Those toxic nitrates. It's going to have more of them come out of your cells. And what are they associated with? Muscular pain, heart palpitations, and strong beating heart. Let's flush that crap out. But if you walk into somebody who has chemistry that's got bricks of 5.7, pHs of 5.4 over 7.0, conductivity of 35, cell debris of 4 triple plus, and nitrates of 12 over 8, Do you want lemon and to flush more crap out? They're already not handling it. There's a common sense in understanding these numbers. I don't want to flush more. So you'll read if you go and you join, Rex Harrell, great guy, man. He provides us with information about RBTI and all this ring stuff and ARM, and he's produced wonderful books that summarize these things. And you go and you look at this, and he says, are you in need of being in a retreat? And he outlines these basics of sugar crashing and high nitrates and when you should do lemon and when you shouldn't. Because you can kill somebody if they are already in a near toxic nitrogen load and say, go drink lemon water every half hour or every hour. You're going to stimulate more crap to come out that they already can't do. That's why I say at the bottom, at a minimum, let's do 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lemon to 9 ounces of distilled water and drink a third of that after every meal. But ideally, you should drink a third of an ounce with 3 ounces fresh squeezed at every meal. So if you want to go home and squeeze out, what's a third of an ounce? That is 2 teaspoons. Okay? Because an ounce is 2 tablespoons, and a tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So 6 teaspoons is an ounce, and a third of that's going to be 2 teaspoons. So I want to go get my little teaspoon, squeeze out. Oh, that's 1 teaspoon. Okay, 1 more. Seriously? It's not really practical. But what you can do is figure out two fresh squeezed wedges of lemon in a shot glass with a little bit of water. Actually you should do a 1 to 3. A shot glass filled to the tippy top is 2 ounces, where a shot glass only filled halfway is 1 ounce. So, but that ratio is the ideal ratio to create the right amount of resistance. After your meals, why after? Because all this food's in there and it's all this cationic stuff, and it's going to want to clump together. So I want to disperse it. God takes grease out of your way. I want to create a medium of resistance. Let's generate some heat to get some more energy out of this food. Make sense? Oh my God, you guys are hitting up the live chat, and I'm just sitting here rambling, and I haven't even got through my handout yet. What do we got here? Let's see. Can we discuss goiters on the thyroid? Maybe. I have her on chlorophyll in water daily. She is also anemic. Chlorophyll is a good thing to do. Let me go here. Let's see. Leah, does lemon in food have the same effect as in the distilled water? Lemon does have a positive effect. It's going to help disperse, and it does, you're still putting that energy in there. You're still putting those amino acids in there. But when you start cooking it, yeah, you're going to affect it. Squeezing it over your salmon, yeah. Making it in, putting it into your, if you're making some homemade salad dressings and stuff, yeah. You're still getting that anionic effect by all means. Go down there, and one of the things it says, has antimicrobial and antioxidant activity, and then it's also, did I put it in here? Topical anesthetic, great skincare products, help dissolve. Well, I thought I had it on there, but lemon. How many of you have been told you got that stain on the countertop? It's not coming off. Squeeze some lemon juice on it, and then rub it off. It disperses. It's going to help break things down. So let's see. Rocks, I love your analogies. Well, thank you. I'm just trying to explain it the best way that I can to make it. I want it to make sense. Eddie, only real lemons. Yes. After that juice has been squeezed out of that lemon, that anionic energy is being exposed to the world around it, and it's going to go into a balance. Everything goes into a balance over time. It's exchanging energy. It's electromagnetically interacting. So negative ions are being channeled off into the atmosphere until it's at the same concentration. And believe me, if we were in an atmosphere around us that was always negative ions, we would live to be 1,000 years old, like they did in early biblical times. Reams explained in his book Choose Life or Death that the only way a flood could have happened where the world had never seen rain was that the world stopped and started spinning the other way. And it changed the electromagnetic spin of the atmosphere to be opposite of that of the world. The world started spinning and to where it became cationic, and it created that electromagnetic pull. So it changed the whole atmosphere. So we're no longer in an anionic atmosphere. We're in a cationic world. We're tied to this world. The atmosphere above us, the Van Buren belt, is anionic in nature, but we're removed from it. We're too far away. So now we only live 120 years. Reams explained it mathematically. The Bible says, hey, now you're only going to live 120 years, but you can eat meat. Couldn't eat it before. Interesting. Let's see. I love your approach. So good to know about RBTI. You're welcome. I love it too. I just trying to help people understand what makes sense. It goes in my head, and this stuff spins around in here, and I'm just like, okay, we got to make sense of this. You know, that's why we came up with the buckets, and that's naturopathic approaches. How do we fix things? And I know it's all depletion and mineral depletion. And the thing is what there are aspects of certain minerals that I think that we need to do in higher amounts, because Ream says, hey, you fix that calcium, all the other things are going to fix themselves. But it takes time. It is slow, people, particularly if you have crappy chemistry and you're old, because that X factor, every 20 years, it takes twice as much energy or twice as much time for that healing. So we have people come in here, and I'm like, finally, 3-4 months later, you're finally in the healing range. Go heal. It's going to take you a few years because you're 70 years old. But don't stop this stuff. Even if you're feeling great, that doesn't mean you stop taking everything, because you got to maintain this so that your body can have that exchange and restore and replace every cell with healthy ones. Young kids, 6 months with great chemistry. 20 to 40, 12 to 18 months. 40 to 60, now we're getting into 24 plus months. 60 to 80, now we're getting in 36 to 50 months. Who knows? Over 80, you're talking 5 years or more. Doesn't mean stop. It doesn't mean you're not going to feel better. It just means that you're not going to replace your body to be 100% efficient anymore. So what do I say? I say perfect is in every one of you, but sometimes it's not worth achieving. How many of you have OCD? Seriously? So is it worth it? What's the goal? The goal is to generate more energy from your food than what your body needs. So you create a healthy, balanced chemistry. And I'll see if she left that up there. I'll pull that up in a minute too. So as you're going down, antimicrobial activity, one of the things that they said, helps dissolve cholesterol and calcium deposits in the gallbladder and kidneys. So think about it. What's the gallbladder do? Stores what? Fat. We get cholesterol stones, we get gallstones, and if you do a gallbladder flush, they all float on the water, because why? Fats float on water. Do a gallbladder flush, and how do you do it? You drink the oil with the juice of a lemon and the juice of a grapefruit. Why? Because it breaks down those fats. It helps to stimulate that liver. It all ties together. It all ties together. So let me go, and I'm going to pull off lemons for a second here. And I want to go back and, let me see. I thought last week that we brought in the, I don't see it. Darn. Okay. I don't know where Annie put it, but I know it's here. So, last week we talked about the buckets, and we brought the buckets in, but I don't see the buckets, and the idea is, let me look at the detox one here, and let's see if this is it. Yeah, here we go. So, last week we talked about, understanding the concepts of uh, looking at your body can handle so much of a load. And when your body exceeds the capacity of what it has, you're consuming more energy than what you're getting. You have to look at what is drawing up and pulling that energy. So most people say you need to detox, you need to detox, you need to detox. And what I say is when your burdens exceed your body's capacity to handle the load, things break down. You've exceeded your threshold, which results in systems breakdown and systematic breakdown with a chronic inflammation and stress pattern where your body is just toxic because you are not toxic food, toxic water, toxic air, toxic electromagnetic fields, coming around your body. All of them require energy, and your body can't deal with it. So, what do? We we clean up our environment, and we start putting pure food and pure water and pure air in our bodies and distilled water and lemons. I should have put lemons on this. And you decrease your toxin load, because whenever you understand a true healing power, you always see that there is a detox or a release, a discharge from the body. Naturally occurs, and RBTI kind of helps guide that to see that. So if you just detox and you go to these clinics to do sauna, foot bath, colonics, all this other stuff, which we offer at our clinic, but you don't get rid of that pure air, don't change that aspect of pure air, pure food, pure water, EMF, locating your stuff. You don't change that phase 1 to 3 and support your body. Yeah, you're going to feel better, but you're not going to maintain it. All that stuff's going to come back. And if you stimulate detoxification, like I was talking about earlier, by drinking a bunch of lemon water, when your chemistry shows that you can't handle it, people, you can compromise your body and throw yourself in a hospital. So here we go. As you reduce your body's burdens below your energy capacity or your load, so therefore you're getting more energy from your food than you're consuming, with you supporting your body through deficiencies to enhance your efficiency and what your body can tolerate, your body naturally begins to detoxify. Just happens. And then somewhere there's supposed to be a healthy bucket, but I don't see it. I see detox. I see 5 phase. Oh, it's under 5 phases. Ha! So this is what we're looking for, people. Keep in the A range. Keep your lifestyle in sync with what your body can handle. Pure air, pure food, pure water, electromagnetic field protection. Turn off that Wi-Fi at night. Don't carry that thing on your body. Have neutralizers on your Wi-Fi devices and wear devices that can neutralize them themselves. But the idea is, yeah, you got to have detox. That's that cell debris coming out. But you don't have more going into your bucket than what you can handle. Natural health can simply define disease as an imbalance caused by either a deficiency or an excess. And that bottom statement, life is governed by a set of natural principles and laws, and as we recognize and honor these principles with our lifestyle choices, we improve the quality of our lives. When I very first put a website out around 2005, that's where I was before I knew anything about RBTI. The basic concept that you're a byproduct of your environment. Change it. Mental, emotionally change it. Physically and environmentally change it. The microbes are going to change. Autoimmune conditions, all that other stuff, they're going to follow. It's going to change. Change is good. It really is good because you're getting your body in a cycle of health. And that's what this is all about. Where are we here? Can you explain again how the plot on the X and Y axis for areas of loss of energy, especially how to use the nitrogen numbers on the X axis? Okay, X axis, Y axis, pH, Y axis, nitrates, X axis, left to right. The blue number, nitrates, right or left on your screen, and yellow, ammonia nitrates, left. Whichever one's higher, you're going to see that side of the body or the opposite side of the brain. That simple. Right over left, or left over right brain, based upon which number's higher. pH, 6.4, ideal. Points right at the midline, right at the belly button. You go above 6.4, higher in the body. You go below 6.4, lower in the body. Basically, that's it. What type of potassium do you recommend? Various types of potassium. I have some people on potassium bicarb. I have some people on potassium aspartate. I have some people on potassium citrate. Probably the three main forms that I'm using. So potassium citrate will help with pH, raising the pH. Potassium aspartate is best with people who are having cardiovascular issues and heart palpitations. Potassium bicarb is for those people who are just so stinking acidic that nothing is responding. You have those pHs of 4.9, and you're giving lime water, and you're giving Cal2, and you're giving vitamin D at 20,000 units, and they are not budging. But potassium and calcium can compete for one another, but those people have so much stress on their body that they need the potassium. And so, but most of the time, I tell people, look at the work of Hans Neiper, the Curious Man, and his forms of minerals as cofactors. And I'm finding that, I'm using the potassium magnesium aspartate with people with heart disorders, and it really helps. It really does. So let's see. Elderly neighbor got an infrared heat therapy blanket. Do they detoxify? Is it similar to an infrared sauna? Yeah, to some degree. What you do is you put those emergency Mylar blankets over top of you while you're in them, and then those ions just keep being reflected back down on you, and you're basically creating a personalized little infrared scenario with a lot of negative ions. But the thing is they're kind of gross to sweat all over, So that's where I don't, a lot of people use those for sweat-based therapy, and they give salt, and if you buy them, they encourage that. But believe me, I love it. Pulsed electromagnetic. I get the ones with the pulsed electromagnetic fields, PEMF mats, and so if you go to my website at Pittsburgh Alternative Health, pittsburghalternativehealth.com, and then you go to the links page and you'll see healthy mats. And when you're on the healthy mats, look at PEMF mats, pulsed electromagnetic field mats. They're awesome, people. PEMF is those pulsed electromagnetics. They stimulate blood flow, circulation, lymphatics. I bought one for my mom about 5 years ago who has debilitating osteoarthritis in her knees, bone on bone. She doesn't take any pain meds. She just sleeps on that thing every night, and it does wonders. It helps with blood flow, circulation. My mom she turns 87 in May, and still at home. Now I at least put a chairlift so she can go up those 16 steps. She has to go up. The chairlift takes her up 12, and she'll do the last 4 on her own. Stubborn as heck, but she's not going to leave that house. She'd probably rather die because she's been there for 50 years plus, So, but that PEMF mat, people, if you got aches and pains and you've had disorders with collagen or bone and joint structures, PEMF mats are incredible. And do they detox and relax you? Heck yeah. Throw a blanket, throw one of those Mylar blankets over there, get in there and sweat a little bit, but put something on there that you're going to sweat on and change it because it can get stinky. So so you're aware. Um, we are out of time. Okay, is there anything else? Uh, what mule do you have? What mule in mid March, Luke? What mule? Oh, Moscow mule. Let's see. Visiting Friend visiting in Zambia returns to the U.S. in mid March. Awesome. Thank the Lord you found RBTI. I do sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, why me? Denara, what about lime? Lime is not the same as lemons and will not work as well. Anyone want a small free coffee packet sent postal address? Wow. Thanks to appreciation of Dr. Misak. Thanks, Luke. Um, People, I hope you enjoy it. Lemons. If you want to restore, you got to drink them. You got to put them in there. If you're worried about breaking down the enamel on your teeth, then just chug that 3 ounces and rinse it with a little bit of distilled water. Swish and swallow right after you do it. You know, and but a little bit after meals is amazing. Helps digestive disorders. Helps that saliva pH to normalize. And I've tried to go over lemons and distilled water because they are crucial. They really are, people. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Good show. I hope you at least assume it's a good show. Sometimes I'm like I rambled, but I think I gave some good information. So people, take care. God bless you all. I think that I'll see you next week. Until then, just be blessed. We'll see you. And